of a line given slope and y-intercept. Make this big. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Should all be able to see that. So two equations you're going to want to know. Well, you know the first one. We've already talked about y equals mx plus b, where the mx is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. And then we're going to be using this equation mostly on Thursday's work, but I wrote it in here. I'm going to add it in both notes for today and Thursday. So that would be the point-slope form of the equation of a line. So it would be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And like I said, we'll use that one mostly on Thursday. I just kind of wanted to add it on the notes. I'll add it on today's and Thursday's notes just so it kind of sticks in your head. Once you have that. Does anybody need me to wait? Seems like a few of you are already done. Okay. I don't hear anyone yelling wait, so then let's look at our first. I gotta switch papers here. Let's look at our first type of a problem we're gonna see. So we're gonna be given the slope. This one's -5, and we're going to be given our y-intercept, and there are two coordinates of 0 and 5. So remember, the first one's always x, the second one is our y, right? So in the chat, after you write that down, I want to see if you can tell me what our equation would look like. So y equals what, right? We need our mx and our b, right? Our slope and our y-intercept. Throw it in the chat. I want to see who remembers this. We've done quite a bit of this so far, just different ways. So slope of -5, y-intercept of 0 and 5, right? So you are super close. So let's see. I'm going to squeeze this in here. Y equals -5 is our slope, right? And then we know it intercepts on that 5, and that's a positive, so it should look like that. So you're super close. Good job. Yes, slope is going in place of the m. Oh, that's Miss Myers. Why am I reading that? Well, good job! Oh, never mind. That's Miss Myers. Yeah, it kind of tricked me too when I first looked at it, and I'm like, oh, it's giving me y-intercept of 0 and 5. I really don't need that 0, but if I was to plot it, be 0, right, and then go down or go up to 5, and that's where it crosses. So you just need the 5. Any questions on that part, guys? Make sense? All right. This one I want you just to write that down first. Move my book. Actually, I got to move this guy. There we go. And I kind of put two little plots points so you can kind of make your line. So on this one, you're going to be given, some of your problems you're just going to be given a graph to look at. And they're going to want you to write your equation of your line again. Will be? I should ask you that real quick. Scooch it over a little bit. Okay. Well, if you think you know what it is, pop it in there as we're figuring this out. All right. So we know from looking at our y-axis that it crosses at -5, right? So that's going to be our y-intercept, is -5. Okay. So if you want, we can write our negative 5. My pens are dying. Okay. So now we got to figure out that slope. So I had chose, obviously I'm starting here where it intercepts, and then I chose that point. But we can go shorter. If you find another point in there, you can do it. But let's do these. I went a little farther, so I had to end up reducing. It's good to know how, right? Okay, so let's look. We have to do our rise over run. So let's start here. We're going to go down. I hate doing this on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We got to go all the way down to that negative 5, so that took us 6. Then we got to go over 1 and 2. So we know this is a negative slope, so it looked like negative 6 over 2, right? That's what we did. Want to make sense to everybody so far? So we already had our intercept, and we went down 6 and over 2. Okay, so it should be negative 6 over 2. But we can reduce that. Sometimes it'll want you to, sometimes it won't. Let's just get in the habit. Remember, we decided we're going to do that. So if we're going to reduce that, that would just be a negative 3x, right? Everybody see that? So negative 6 divided by 2 is a negative 3. And then we have our intercept. So that's what our equation should look like. Any questions on how we got that? We have zero slope on this because there's nowhere for us to rise and run. Okay? So when you see something like this, this is your undefined, and the answer it's looking for is just y equals negative 6 because it's on the negative 6, right? So it's just y equals negative 6. We don't have a slope to work with there.
One of the things that when you're looking for like how you're...
So these should be pretty fresh still. So if we have negative 2x plus y equals 3, and we have to get that y by itself, we've got to move that negative 2x to the other side of the equation, right? So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to add it because it's a negative, right? You have to do the opposite. I'm going to add it over here. So your equation would look like that. So those ones are fairly simple. I like those ones. I saw those. I was like, yeah. Any questions on that? You guys probably remember that from last week. I think we did those or the week before. You know what I mean. Okay. I believe I only have... Oh, I have a couple more. All right, so then let's look at this guy. So again, we have to solve for y, right? Get y by itself. This time it has a number attached to it. So we just have a couple extra steps. So we have 3x plus 4y equals 12. So same as the last one, we want to get y on the equation, on that side of the equation by itself. So let's take our 3x away. Then we're left with our 4y equals negative 3x plus 12. Okay, so now we should be at that point. Then who remembers how to get the y by itself? Tell me, how do I get the y by itself? Divide by that 4, right? And we have to do that to everything in the equation. So those cancel. We're left with our y. Then we're left with a slope of negative 3/4. And then 12 divided by 4 should give us a 3. So that is that one. So y equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. Going to see some problems where it gives you an ordered pair, and then it gives you what your m would be. And in this one, it's saying that our m is undefined, right? Our slope is undefined. So it's just going to be just like kind of on that graph we did. So we know that if we were to graph an undefined, it's going to go up and down, right? It's going to go through, cross through that x-axis. So it's simply just going to be x equals 3, right? That's our x, that's our y. That's it. That makes sense? You're going to see a couple where it's going to tell you undefined. It's just going to be just like that. You're just going to have your x equals whatever your x is in that ordered pair.